Like the of the Rebbe to learn the Hilchos Beis Abchire, the Yimei Ben HaMesorim. We have the honor today to have a in German, Rabbi Chosi, Rav Shalom Dov'er. Peygelshtack is going to give us some insights into the building of the Beis Hamikdash, and as the of the Rebbe to give Zokeh B'tzibur. Everyone, please give Zokeh B'tzibur. After Ma'ariv, there will be a Siyum Masechta. Rav Peygelshtack, b'vakasha.
In Hilchos Beis Abchire, Perek Gimel, Halacha Zayin over there, brings that Shivas Knei HaMenorah Ma'akrin Zeh את זה, ושבס נרוסהו Ma'akrin Zeh את זה, ואין בשעויסו של זו, שעושה שם מן המתחס, וכן הנרס קבועים. Every of the neiros and everything in the menorah was me'akev, and the way that the neiros were is also me'akev. Now why is this important? Because the next halacha the Rambam brings, Sheish HaNeiros HaKvuim v'Sheish HaKanim, the 6 neiros that they were kavua, they weren't kavua, and kulam pneiim lener emtzoi shal knei menorah. All of the candles from both sides were facing, as it's explained also in the Gemara in many different places. The nekuda was like a kind of a spoon, if you can call it, like it had a shape as a spoon, and from the edge of it was coming the psile, and all the psiles were according to the Rambam, they were going towards the Ner HaMtzoi, the middle candle. This was called the Ner HaMaravi. Ner HaMtzoi, Ponam Keneged Kodesh HaKodashim, Wanikra Ner HaMaravi. However, the middle candle was pointing towards the Ma'arav, which was the Kodesh HaKodashim, and it was called Ner Maravi, being that it was pointing to Ma'arav. From what it sounds from the Rambam holds that the menorah was facing from Tzofan to Dorim, and all the candles were equal towards Ma'arav, and therefore Ner Maravi is also the Ner that is Lifnei Hashem. It's also the Ner Maravi, and therefore he puts both in one candle and makes it that the Ner Tomid and the Ner Maravi is the Ner Emtzoi, and from both sides candles are shining to the middle. The Kesef Mishnah, if we look inside, we see that he tries to, in a way, excuse why the Rambam Shino Miderech HaRogil, because if we look at the Boker where the Rambam took it from, the Gemara in Menachos brings over there a machloikes, whether the menorah was from Tzofin to Dorim, or the menorah was from Mizrach to Ma'arav. And we know that it brings over there, the Gemara brings that Rebbe says that it was from Mizrach to Ma'arav, and Rabbi Lazar ben Rabbi Shimon brings that it was from Tzofin to Dorim. So when we have a machlokes from Rabbi Shimon, from Rebbe to Rabbi Lazar ben Rabbi Shimon, we know that normally the machlokes is like Rebbe, the halacha is like Rebbe. So there the Kesef Mishnah brings a whole biur why the Rambam was changing this time, and it was passing like Rabbi Lazar ben Rabbi Shimon, and not like Rebbe, but there's a very big chiluk in the two days how to explain it. We'll look at the Gemara if we'll understand more to the depth of the sugya. The Gemara brings that there were in the Beis Hamikdash Shebona Shloime there was 10 shulchanos, and also there was 10 menorahs. But however, they were lighting the menorah with the menorah of Moshe Rabbeinu, and there is a shali whether they were lighting all of them or only that one. And then the Gemara asked how they were set. So it brings the brayse that Rebbe said it was from Mizrach to Ma'arav, and Rabbi Lazar ben Rabbi Shimon says that it was set from Tzofan to Dorim. Now why is this so important? Because it will set how the menorah was built. If the menorah is built from Tzofan to Dorim, so then we have to make the Ner, there is one candle that is shining more than all the rest, there is pointing towards Ma'arav. Why? Because there is a Ner Maravi that it says of him that it should be Lifnei Hashem. And there's also a Ner Tomid. Do we say that it's the same one or not? It's Lav Davke, it doesn't have to be. But if we already said this, we have one that's different than all the rest, and it's a Ner Tomid, it can also be a Ner Maravi. However, if we say that it's from Mizrach to Ma'arav, so then we have to have a Ner Lifnei Hashem, that is actually in front of Hashem, and a Ner Tomid. And the Ner that is Lifnei Hashem has to be the most Mizrach, the most Ma'arav. And then you have a Ner Tomid. Now, why is this Negeya? Because we see a Gemara. Why is this such a big thing? We see a Gemara, Mishnah in Tomid, that the Mishnah in Tomid over there brings that the Kohen, the Seder was that the Kohen every day came and he was Medashen the Menorah. And when he was Medashen the Menorah, it says that he was Medashen the two Marovios. The two candles, he was Medashen two candles. And we look at the sugi over there, we have to understand why two candles, if it's the middle one according to, yeah. And it's mashma from over there, if we see the sugi over there, it's mashma that Grada the menorah was from Mizrach to Ma'ariv. And however, we see that in Maseches Megillah, it brings the sugi the other way. Asked over there benegah to which one is the Iker broche. And over there it brings the broche Ikoris is the brochem tzois. What's the way to bring it? It says, I show you from the menorah. What's the name? There's Lifnei Hashem is the one in the middle. So mashma from there that Ner Marovi was the one in the middle according to saying from Tzof and Tudarim. So you can see that one place takes the pashtus that the menorah was from Tzof and Tudarim. Another place in Shas we see the pashtus the menorah was from Ma'ariv to. Now, if we look according to what normally the Rambam holds, as we said, according to Rabbi Roosevelt and Rabbi Shimon, but normally that we said the psak is according to Rebbe, over there we're going to have, if we look at the sugya, we're going to have a machlekes between Rashi and Tosfos, Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam. And this machlekes between Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam, how we explain Ner Marovi. Rashi says that Ner Marovi is the most in Ma'ariv, and when you say the other, the Ner Tomid should be the other one, the most to the Mizrach. So that means where Mizrach is all the way to the other side. That's why it's the two extreme candles. Rabbeinu Tam doesn't hold like this. Rabbeinu Tam comes in this choylek, he says you cannot say such a thing. There is Beferish Mishnah Tomid. So how he solves the problem? He says, in the moment that it's not the most Ma'aravi, it's already Mizrach. So you have the Ner Marovi, that one is the first to the Ma'arav, and then the next one is already Ner Mizrachi. It's Shen Mizrach. What is not Ma'arav is Mizrach. And this sugya, Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam are not choylek only over here. And Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam bring this sugya also Menoch Tiflam Daled. Over there, Tosfos wants to change. Rabbeinu Tam wants to change the way that we put on the parshas and tefillin because of this machlekes. What do we call Yamin HaKori and Yamin HaManiach? Based on what is Yamin and Smol. Where do you start to count Yamin and Smol? So according to the Shita of Rashi, Yamin is the most extreme to Yamin, and Smol is the most extreme to Smol, like in the menorah. You say in the menorah, Mizrach is the most extreme to Mizrach, Ma'ariv is the most extreme to Ma'ariv. So you say Kadesh Voyo Kiviyacho Miyamin. So you start from one side Kadesh, the next one Voyo Kiviyacho. Shema Voyim Shemoya Mismol. You start from the outside to the inside. Shema, the most outer on the left side, and to the inside. However, Rabbeinu Tam, he doesn't hold like this, and Grade if we look at the Geonim, most of the Geonim had like Rabbeinu Tam. Even though we think that Rashi was the Shita Svure, but when we look at the Kisvei Geonim, we see, and in the Shas also we see that Vehoyo, Avoyo, Sheyu, that the two Avoyos, Voyim Shemoyo, Voyo Kivyacho should be together in the middle, and many different Mekoides that point to Grad the Shita of Rabbeinu Tam. And they point that is Kesidron is Lavdav ke Kesidron Shekoire Batoiro, that means the way that it's written in the Torah. Grad Kesidron is like the Seder that you put it is the Seder that you read it. And he changes the Nusach how he explains it. And therefore he says that Kadesh is the most Yamin, and from then on is already left. And so it's Kiviyacho, then you go to the Shema Voyim Shemoya. So it ends up being that the two Avoyas, Voyim Shemoya and Voyim Kiviyacho, there are two in the middle. Why is this when we look in Tefillin has such an idea? Okay, it's based on the same idea, but why we look in Tefillin, and it's important to look at the menorah back into this sugya. So in the Negea to Tefillin, we see that this sugya is much more spoken in poskim, and we know that all the limud in tefillin is based on the menorah. So everything that we're going to see in tefillin, we're going to be able to retrieve back into the menorah. One of the places that very interesting that we see in Shalis Tshuvas Min HaShamayim, over there he asked many different questions, and they answered him. And he brings the shaila what is the right shita to put on tefillin, what is the right shita to put the tefillin in the batim. Whether shitas Rashi is the nechoina or shitas Rabbeinu Tam is nechoina. Now to understand, the shita of Rashi Rabbeinu Tam, just to clarify, is not invented by Rashi Rabbeinu Tam. This is already in Zohar is already mentioned. It is mentioned already before the Shas. It was the two shitas always existed, and there were the two were there. Rashi Rabbeinu Tam held whether the whole sugya, this way or the other. What do you call Ner Marovi? Based on that. So he asked this question, and he brings like this. He says, "Val seder parsha shel tefillin kachoisa sheilosi," and he brings on oker rachum v'anoy rachochom arozim, etc. All the what he asked, and he says, "Leoidieni es asher nistapakti beparsha shel tefillin." He brings over there, "Nistapakti ki yesh min hachachom imoinu marei behem yahavoyes boemtza veim echlifom psulo." ואתו מלך מוחים צווה למלוכיך הקדושים לדיין יהלוכו כדברי מי ודברי מי אתו מכוון והשיבו אלו ואלו דברי אלוקים חיים וכמחלוקס למטו כך מחלוקס למעלו הקדוש ברוך הוא הבויס באמצע לקרבנו תם ופמליה של מעלו אומרים הבויס כסדרום הוא אשר דיבר השם בקרבי יקש על פני חולו מחבת וזהו כבודי ביויס פרשס מלכוס תחילה. Basically saying the two things are right, and the fact is the Eibishter goyres tefillin Rabbeinu Tam, and the Pamalia Shemalo says that the covet of the Eibishter has to be first, so it has to be the other way around, and therefore you have Kadesh Voyakim Yachon on one side and Shema Voyakim Shemoya on the other, and they're not set with the avoyas in the middle for kvoide of the Eibishter. Bepoyel we see that the Pamalia Shemalo and this Machlekes took Iker. By us we know that based in Shemalo and the Eibishter was a Machlekes, it says Nitzchuni Bonai Nitzchuni. And this we see also a few times, we see also in Benegea to the Moshel Tkiyas. Which one is the right Tkiyas? Whether we say the Shever is only Shvorim, or the Yevovo is only True, or do we say both together? And he also asked, and he says, Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim Chaim, they're both right. Not only they're both, all the shittas are right, and therefore we do all of them. And what's the Nekud? The Nekud is that all the shittas, it's not whether one is more right than the other. They all have a darge where that is Noigeya. We see in Kisvei Ari over there. So today was the outside of the Ari over there. Is explained the Sugye Barichus, and it explains how each one of them grade has a full kiyum in a certain darge. I won't go into all the whole ariches, but it explains in the spheres why each one has its full right where it's standing, and one is in Olam Esilyonim, and one is more Noigea to Tachtonim, to Maise, and so on. And therefore we put on Tefillin Shel Rashi, there is the Nekude of doing Bepoyel, bringing the Shechina down in the world. So that's what they are Iker. Now, when we look at this Inyan, the Rebbe took the Shita that not only that Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin is Shayach for Chassidim and so on. Rather, the last few years, the Rebbe was bringing in a public. Earlier years, the Rebbe told the Chassidim that it didn't, by that time, still wear Tefillin Rabbeinu Tam, that they should wear Tefillin Rabbeinu Tam. But later on, the Rebbe mentioned it in Siches. We see in Chelek Lamedaled how the Rebbe says, "Kol bnei Yisrael tzrichim laniach Tefillin Rabbeinu Tam, v'chein lo yagim kol asherchem lechabad." Mikam v'kam Shonim. Also in Purim Tovshin Lamed Vov, the Rebbe mentioned it, and it was me'orer that this is something is mekarev the Geule. The Rebbe mentioned that having both shittas born is nagea to each one. So in the Beis Hamikdash me'at of each one of us is nagea to be poyel the two inyonim, the two shittas, and we see it also. The Alter Rebbe brings leikuv ha'inyan ha'aloche that is medayek in the Siddur. The Alter Rebbe in the Siddur brings the importance of having the tefillin sharosh mamash in the middle of the head, and he says, being that you have the inyan of yamin and small, the Alter Rebbe brings the lashon. He says, "Hizoyer sheyeh be'emtza roicha v'roish mamish, shalei omer kadosh v'oyo kiviyachu miyamin v'shma v'yem shemoya mismol." And he brings, ובתפילין דרש"י, שהפרשס כסדרון, אין בין ימין לשמאל, אין בין ימין לשמאל, אלא משהו, דהיינו החריץ שבין ואויו כביכול לשלמה. That's why, if it goes according to Shitas Rashi, so Rashi says Yamin is from the middle to one side, and from the small to the other side. Not that one is the most Yamin, according to Rabbeinu Tam, that's Yamin, and all the rest is small. So then it's not so me'akev, 1 millimeter here, 1 millimeter there. According to Rashi, is mamish from the middle and on. So even a millimeter is me'akev. So that's why the Alter Rebbe says it's very important to be precise on this nekudah. Going back to the nekudah of the menorah, so we see that the two shittas that we have in Benegat to Rashi Rabbeinu Tam, the size of the Rambam, the other Rishonim halt that it was from Mizrach to Mayrov, and not Sofim to Dorim. The mile in the shittas of Rambam is that the Rambam was able to be me'ached, that if you say like Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon, there is no machlokes. So there's no machlokes. Where is there Marovi? Where there? And you could be according to all the shittas. The only problem is that you don't go according to Rebbe. And the only problem is you're not going as according to the shit and to the Mishnah and Tomid, which according to Rabbeinu Tam and the other Rishonim, you see that they don't hold of it. That they want to say that you can't forget the Mishnah and Tomid. You can't say this Mishnah like Arsinon. However, being that this machlokes is already a machlokes shnuya that is brought in the Mishnah itself already, the two days and even before, so it's not a problem for the Rambam to take either way and say that it's from Tzofim to Dam. In this nekuda, we should be zoiche each one to be in our Beis Hamikdash me'at, to put emphasis to do what we can do to be according to all the shittas, be able to do Rashi, Rabbeinu Tam, afilu Rashi itself, to be medayek, and like this we'll be zoiche to see the light of the menorah Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi v'korev mamash.
Amen. Shkoyach Shalom Dubel. If you want to gleich noch mal, there will be a Sir Masechta. Everybody has to stay. Everybody can have now.